Over the Line Extra, your weekly Galway GAA podcast with Ollie Turner and Sean Walsh in association with Seymour's Lochray.
Welcome on into Over the Line Extra. It's another Thursday afternoon edition. We're looking forward to a busy weekend in the Connacht Club Championships. So we've pretty much put everything behind us in terms of county activity, bar, Sean, the senior hurling final.
Yes.
We've a tasty one to look forward to next week.
We have. Lochray, I suppose, have kind of energised the scene, haven't they, this year? Unbeaten throughout the championship. And they arrive in their first final since 2013, taking on Thomas's, who just know how to do this. Everyone is concentrating on the 5 in a row, which this is the bid for, but you know, they won the championship back in 12, they won the championship in 16. You know, it's Corofin, like it's, you know, the previous, the Athenrise, the Sarsfields, the Portumnas. Their reign is in that era now and could even be better if they can continue going. But look at it, it's been a good hurling championship. Probably are a number of teams that are, you know, disappointed this week not to have gone further. But look, we're looking forward to a great final, and we hope that the weather might play a bit of ball.
A little bit, yeah.
And I say the lads that are with us this afternoon on the podcast will be thinking the same thing for their own teams.
They were
this
two
weekend.
Decisive semi-final wins though at the weekend.
They were.
So no real complaints from the two vanquished teams last weekend.
And both teams, like, you know, a lot of talk about Sarsfields all year. Clarenbridge got to the final last year, will be disappointed they didn't at least get back there. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, the experience of Thomas has shone out like a beacon. I mean, Conor Cooney, his performances at club level are just outstanding. Yeah,
different level.
Yeah. Lochray, lovely team coming together. It's been infused by a few younger lads this year who have given it a lift. So look, we are where we are. Repeated the 2012 final, and we remember that it was a YouTube sensation for various reasons.
Well, here's another YouTube sensation, or two of them, about to join us today, because we do know that St. Thomas's or Lochray, they won't be playing in an All-Ireland series or a Connacht Club Championship. But 3 Galway clubs certainly are this weekend. So we've got Gerry Gannon joining us from Clifden, from Gannon's Intersports shop. And we've got Gary Delaney, the Dunmore MacHales manager, but of course, as a lot of you will know, multiple championship winner with Corofin. Lads, great to join you. Gerry, it's like as if you're showing off that the weather is that bit better in Clifden than it is here in Galway as we look out the window there.
We can put the sun up on the back here as well.
Yeah. Well, it's probably not as good as it looks from up here, but we don't mind it wet and windy. You know, the lads from the west are well used to it, so looks like that will be the forecast for the weekend. But hopefully it'll improve a bit. You know.
You're talking about the lads from the west, as in Clifden, are used to the Connacht Club Championship as well, Ger, because you've had 2 shots at this Connacht Club title, and both have just fallen short against Mayo opposition in the last 15 years.
Yeah, that's correct. It's a bit of a thorn in our side, really. Particularly the 2006 final. I think there were three finals in a row there, 2005, 6 and 7, and Galway teams came out on top in 5 and 7. So we would have felt it's the one we left behind. It was a dismal day, and we went to Ballina to play the game, played Killala. And in fairness, probably it went extra time, and it was a kick of a ball between us in the end. A goal in the last dying minutes of extra time was the deciding factor. But they did probably over the course of the game, they deserved it. They had 2 Hannick brothers playing centre forward and full forward who were unstoppable on the day. But I think all around we probably felt we had a better all round team, but just didn't perform. So it's definitely one we'd love to make amends for. And in 15, in fairness to the Ardnaree team on the day, they were very strong. They played senior league that entire year and accounted for themselves fairly well. And I don't think we've any gripes over 2015, to be honest, you know. But looking forward to maybe rectifying that the first step on Sunday, you know.
And we're judging it, Sean, as well on the way Clifden won the county junior championship against an Athenry team who beat most people's favourites, Menlock, to win the junior this year and get back into intermediate. In fact, the amount of people I spoke to that didn't realise Menlock were down in junior, they were saying, how are they not in intermediate? So you've won a really good championship, but Gerry, Clifden must be really buoyed up by the manner in which he disposed of Salt Hill and won a Westport title really in a canter. You were telling me earlier on that probably the toughest game you've had all year was against your near neighbours Renville.
Yeah, it's been I think it's boding well for the team that their kind of run of form is coming when it's most needed. They got through the group stages without really setting the scene on fire. Renville were very well set up, very well structured, and with 10 minutes gone in the second half, there was only a point between the two teams. Rory King was introduced off the bench 10 minutes into that half, and I think his youth and his ability to just run at attacks created a bit of space for the forwards, and they got over the line. There was a serious injury towards the end of the game, so it delayed for about 20 minutes. So there was only 4 points. There was 4 points, two scores in it at that stage, and they managed to get a point once the game resumed to win it. But I'd say, talking to the lads, that would have been their toughest battle. But definitely going into the Salt Hill game and the Athenry game, the performances have really, I think, getting into the bigger spaces, the more open pitches suits this team. They're able to run at teams a bit better, and there's definitely a lot of youth on their side. So I think that really helps them perform to the level they've performed over the last 2 games.
We'll get back to you in a moment, Gerry, to talk about the open spaces of Pearse Stadium, which you'll have to your advantage against Carrigallen on Sunday. But let me go to Gary Delaney, the manager of Dunmore MacHales, in his second year involved with the club, coaching last year, now taking charge. And Gary, we spoke to you in Tuam Stadium after winning the county final. You were hightailing it to the nearest airport to go on holidays with the family. So batteries,
that was good planning now, wasn't it?
Batteries recharged, I hope, Gary.
Yeah, batteries recharged, right. I wouldn't say it was good planning, Ollie. I think we had it booked, and then Galway got the All-Ireland final, and everything was pushed out 2 weeks. So, needless to say, herself wasn't happy. But yeah, we're back. We're back a couple of weeks now, thank God, and back on the pitch with the boys the following week. So it's good to get back at it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a 3-week break, as we talked about as well.
I suppose, Gary, and Gerry, it's the same for you. We'd say the whole focus, I mean, even during the year and the podcast, 2 teams we've kind of followed were Dunmore and Killimer, for the same reasons that, you both got to the intermediate final the previous year, had a chance to win it, didn't, but got back there this year and won it. How hard now is it, say, to refocus the lads now on a provincial championship, given that I would assume, Gary, that was the all-consuming dream for the year, to get back into the Galway intermediate final and win it?
Yeah, definitely for the year, but even for the last 15 years, it was their dream to get over the line. It's not easy. I know for myself as a player, even when you win a county final, you're on a buzz, you're on a high, and you have to get the boys refocused and reset to go again. It's not easy, but yeah, the last couple of weeks have been really good. They enjoyed themselves and they celebrated really well, which is good, which you need to do. But look, we've that hurdle jumped, so it's about getting on to the next hurdle now and giving Connacht a good crack,
And you got the benefit, Gary, of imparting so much knowledge as regards how to react and prepare for what's essentially a new competition, given what you've done previously with Corofin. Do you think the Dunmore lads will be able to buy into your ethos and concept that, Park Galway now, lads, here's an opportunity to go and do something really special?
Yeah, maybe after the first 4 or 5 days, they didn't really think about it, but they have. To be fair to them, they have, and they want to be successful, at a national stage, and that's what it is. I said it to yourself, Ollie, after the game. It's not, you're not representing Dunmore now. It's Galway, and no more than like when Clifden are playing or Moycullen are playing. You're always looking out for the results, and you're always kind of hoping the Galway teams do really well, and that's just it. We're at the next stage, and it's up to the boys now to knuckle down, and it's not going to be easy. These Sligo boys are a really good outfit. I've seen a couple of videos of them, and they're not going to be easy. We're going to be right up against it.
And I suppose the one thing, Gary, we've seen as well, the squad you're working with, there's an infusion of young lads coming through, isn't there? I mean, looking in from the outside, Dunmore are back as a factor at underage at A level, which is obviously giving you a bit of talent to work with as well, isn't it?
Oh, it is, yeah, definitely for sure. like I know we played Livermore, we had a panel of, I think it was 24 or 5, and this year we had a panel of 34 with maybe 1 or 2 injuries, and that was due to, like, say, a couple of lads came back from travel, a couple of lads came back from serious injury, Martin Cleary, and then you had a couple of lads that came up from the under-19 ranks that weren't there last year. So it definitely adds to it, and you can train, you can have 15 on 15 games, and then you have 34 lads pushing for 15 spots. We didn't really have that as much last year, and that's huge, and if you're not playing well and you're not performing and some guy is, then he's going to get the nod, and that's what it has been a big plus this year. Boys are just pushing each other to the limits, and you need it, so yeah, for sure.
The thing about St. Malosh Gales as well, Gary, is the huge scores they've been putting up. Now, you're kind of shooting blind a little bit, aren't you, in terms of how you prepare for a team like that, other than rely on your own defensive solidity. But a team that's averaging 22 points a game and winning any intermediate championship, I'm sure you've got to be looking at that saying, we may need to be really on our guard here.
Yeah, definitely. They're averaging 22 scores a game. They're conceding, I think it's 10 per game in the championship, and that's exceptional. And to be fair, they have blown away the Sligo Intermediate Championship. I know it was their 3rd final in a row. So, but yeah, we'll have to have our defensive structure right for sure. And I think winter football is going to play a big factor in it. Every score that you get, I always said is worth 2. It's not going to be. Hopefully, can't see it being a really high scoring game. With the weather, depending on wind and stuff, and looking at the weather, I think Saturday's promised fairly okay as mid-November can be. But yeah, we have to get our defensive structure right, and we won't be able to afford to miss the opportunities that we missed the day of the county final. You're going to need to get your score and averages up to have some chance, because, as I said, these boys have 5-6 county under 20s from that team that won the Connacht under 20 last year for Sligo, a couple of Sligo seniors, and they have a guy back from Australia who's in with the Sligo seniors as well. So they have footballers all over the park.
Gerry, back to you. It is Carrigallen that Clifden will be getting ready for on Sunday. 1 o'clock start in Pearse Stadium. And again, a team that only won their county championship last week. So the fact that Clifden have had the couple of weeks since the Athenry win, again, is that your advantage perhaps? And anytime you're playing at home, is it going to be worth a couple of points to you in Pearse Stadium, Ger?
Oh, I think that's huge. Yeah, the 3 weeks it gave the lads a chance to, unwind, because getting over the line in the county is always the most. It's very difficult, especially coming up out of junior, where there's a lot of teams there that are all around the same level. So having got over that and been able to take a week and unwind and then get back at it for the last 2 weeks, I think it's definitely an advantage. And then playing at home, I go back to 2006. We left here at 9:30 in the morning to get to a game for 2 o'clock. Whereas Galway is only in the road. They're used to playing on the pitch in Pearse Stadium. They've played quite a few games there between Westport finals and county finals at underage and up along. So yeah, it is an advantage. But I think once the ball is thrown in, a lot of those advantages just they're in the head up till then, and then it's 15 on 15. And what I liked about Carrigallen, looking at reports on the game, and they played a county final. They were 2 points down with 10 minutes to go, but they weren't afraid to use their bench. They had 5 guys come off the bench in a tight game, so they've trust in their panel. So if it goes down to the last 5-10 minutes, they have guys who've come on and done the business. So Clifden will be very wary of that, But as I said, home advantage, there is always a score or two there that'll go your way, but that will be about the height of it. After that, it's how you manage it on the day. But as I said, they're really hitting form. Gerry Gibbons at centre forward, he's finding his scoring range. He, in that Renville game, he was held to a point in a man of the match performance in a county final against Athenry. scoring 1-4, you know, so he's stepping up from centre forward. And, you know, John O'Brien there, corner forward, you know, he's playing corner forward, full forward, but like he goes where he's needed. Vastly experienced, Galway minor All-Ireland medal winner in 2007, played senior for a few years after that. You know, he's kind of the guy that they'll look to if it's tight and if there's decisions to be made on the field, he'll be there to do that. And there's a host of young guys coming through that have really set the scene alight. Rory King, Dara Kennedy, Sean Black. You know, they've all played in Croke Park for Galway at minor level on All-Ireland final day and weren't unnerved by that at all. So they won't be unnerved by anything on Sunday either. And then a lot of guys, you know, I always think at this level, it's not those guys as such, it's the unsung heroes, guys you don't hear much about that really produce the goods for you, like the O'Toole brothers, Marty Keneally, very, very solid, very, like Michael O'Toole took Tom Flynn county final day, and the boys reckoned that he was nearly arrested coming home because he had his mobile phone and wallet and car keys in his pocket when he left the stadium. He marked him so tightly, you know. So, you know, these are guys that you don't hear much about, but they're the backbone of this team. They're and particularly going into hard winter football, these are the guys you look to, you know.
Dunmore MacHales, it's a long time ago, Gary, and you were asking me the question after the county final, when was the last time they played a provincial championship game? And it was January of 2005. So the Connacht Championship is not relevant. None of these guys have any past experience.
Venture,
but for a club that invented the All-Ireland Club Championship, it's somewhat, must be a bit of a stickler down there that Dunmore have never won a game in the provincial championship. So how much of an opportunity is this maybe for these guys to create their own bit of history, which even outside of Dunmore, I mean, Corofin, one of the great beneficiaries of the All-Ireland Club Championship, that, you know, there's something that deeply satisfying from Dunmore if they could go on a run.
Yeah, I spoke about it in a meeting, and one of the guys actually said, you know, that no one from Dunmore has a Connacht medal, and I didn't know that, you know, and like we made that our target straight away. But again, we've three. If we were to get to the final, we've three tough games. You know, like you have Sligo champions, Mayo champions, and then the winners are Roscommon and Leitrim. So again, we can only take it game by game, but it's definitely something that we want to put right. You know, like not winning a game in Connacht first off, and then with the help of God, trying to get to a Connacht final and winning Connacht will be huge, you know, and it'll be the next step again for the club, and it'll bring the boys on and you know, maybe give them a good start and a good base for next year for senior, you know. So yeah, definitely be having a shot at it. Yeah.
One of the things I'm sure that you looked at on the video from the county final, if that's of any relevance, was the number of goal scoring opportunities that were passed up. Gary, have you been working on that?
Yeah, look, of course, you're always working on it, and you're always working on making the right decisions. And look, I felt that one of the goals, when I look back at it, it was definitely a foot block. The other one was a bad pass, and the other one hit the post. The third one, it was probably 4 goal chances, but it's what happens after that. Then it's like, you know, you miss a goal chance, the next chance, you know, it has to be a score. If you put that wide, you're putting yourself under huge pressure then, and then your shooting becomes, the boys start to doubt themselves, you know, and you can't let doubt creep in, you know. You have to keep that scoreboard ticking. Since I've came in, that's what I've been saying to the boys, like, you know, once you even if it's a fisted point, the scoreboard is ticking, you're doing the right things, you're moving in the right direction, you know, don't be putting yourself under too much pressure, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah, and even I suppose, and Gerry will show you this one, I mean, finals really, though, lads, are about winning, aren't they? And even, as you said there, Ollie and Gary, you were looking at goal chances that probably could have made it easier. But there's something about, you don't win finals easily, so you don't, no matter what. Like, and it's about the result. But on the flip side of that, then, I suppose, Gerry, have you seen a kind of nearly a lifting of the shackles? That there has to be a confidence in both your teams after winning the championship in Galway. You're heading into a provincial campaign now, but there has to be a lift in the camp. Lads have to be very anxious, or not anxious at all, but actually looking forward and ready to embrace this, surely.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the group stages now are so treacherous. When Clifden were relegated, their first group match in that intermediate championship was against Uachtar, and they drew that game down in Rossmuck 9 points apiece, and probably had the game gone on 5 more minutes, could have won it. And the rest is history. Uachtar went on to just about get out of the group and win the All-Ireland, and Clifden were relegated. So these groups are so treacherous that I think with this team, they didn't get out of the group last year by the very narrowest of margins, 1 point in scoring differences. And once they got out of the group, I think that's when the shackles have come off to a degree. And I think that you'd hope to see that kind of progress a small bit more again on Sunday. It's as I said, it's a kind of it's a treacherous place to be in these group stages, but getting out of your own neck of the woods in terms of, like, it's very localized, it's very local. The West Board is very local. Every team knows each other. So, you know, playing the likes of Athenry, who don't know a whole pile about you, was good as well. And it'll be the same again Sunday. Going into the unknown a bit can kind of suit teams to a degree. And I think it'll suit our lads, you know. They have their homework done. They've seen Carrick-Allen play. But it's all about your own performance really on the day, you know.
I'm always intrigued as well, Gerry, about numbers out in Clifden, and I suppose you referenced Renville as well. I mean, is there any talk out there of amalgamations, or are both clubs able to stand on their own 2 feet? Or in terms of fielding teams, how easy or tough is it?
It's getting much more difficult, but that's probably only an issue at underage at the moment. At senior level, there are still very big numbers. Clifden have a panel of 35 at the moment, and Renville's panel would be tighter, probably a pool of players of about 20, 22 lads. But at underage, at kind of 13s, 14s, 15s over the last couple of years, the Renville lads have come in, they've played with Clifden and on permission to play. And they're in school together, they're playing football in school together, they're playing, all sorts of, through the winter, they're playing soccer, they're playing rugby together. So it's a fairly seamless transition for a lot of the lads. And it's helping Clifden's cause because numbers are dwindling. So, down the line, no one knows where it'll go. But really, I think both clubs would be, particularly Renville, they'd be very keen to keep that team there and keep progressing. I see it, 7s, 9s and 11s. They've put a huge emphasis out there on 7s, 9s and 11s, and the numbers are big. So you'd hope that they can control it to, over the next 5 to 10 years, and they should have some talent coming through there again,
I mean, is there any benefit to both clubs pooling their resources at adult level and having a really strong intermediate team, or what's your counter argument?
No, I think one club always, as you know, I'm Renville and came in via work and living in Clifden. So I've played out there, I've played in here, and my own personal opinion is, one club pulls the other club up all of the time. It's all, and I think once they amalgamate, you'll lose probably half your playing population if you lose one of those teams. At the moment, Clifden are fielding 2 teams, and up to last year, Renville were fielding 2 teams. So I think it'd be more a case of keeping lads playing football rather than maybe trying to get to a standard and losing players. I think you'll gradually get to that standard if you keep the work up at underage. Like, for instance, we played Dunmore in under 15s and under 16s last year in 2 finals. Now, we got a footballing lesson. But the guys, they loved playing those games. They loved coming up against that talent. The Dunmore team, which is now minor, are playing up in A, and came third in their group. Like, they acquitted themselves really well. And our lads have come up against them, played against them, marked those guys, and that's the benchmark they're using. And that's a combination of Renville and Clifden lads. So you want to get up to that level, but I think both clubs would want to get up there of their own accord.
Yeah, no,
I'd say now, Gerry, to be a brave man that would come with that suggestion after your success and everything, because I know, and Gary, the whole lot of us that are in GA, if there is one thing that will galvanise an area, and I know it has to happen in certain places where you have to have amalgamations, but if a club at all can stand on its own 2 feet, isn't that what it will do? Like, I mean, the last thing you want to do is lose your status in any shape or form.
Your identity.
Your identity, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think 100%. They're very strong. hardcore football personnel out there. They love the game and they're steeped in it. And I think that their next move will be to follow Clifden up to intermediate. It hasn't happened. They've been unlucky down through the years, but it's still one of their. It's a burning ambition, and I think it will happen if they keep at it. That's that'll be the prediction.
I think talking about identity, Gary, there is a sense, and I know because obviously I live down there. There's very much a resurgence of identity with Dunmore MacHales as well, and I think there's a lot of people walking a little bit taller now, given what happened in the county championship this year at intermediate level. And I'm sure that support will probably magnify now that the relief of getting back to senior has come to pass.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's as Gerry alluded to there. I've spoken about that a few times. Where Clifden, to the boys, even like the intermediate championship is so hard to win. Where Clifden drew with Oughterard went on to win the All Ireland, and Clifden got relegated. It's such an achievement, and it's so hard to do. And now down Dunmore, Dunmore are gone senior, and as I said to you after the game, like everything's going the right direction, but we still have to work really, really hard. And just because we're gone senior, it doesn't guarantee you're going to stay senior, So, but again, I think the club itself is in a right place. The numbers are extremely good. Underage is going really well, all at A level, and which is a high standard. And yeah, look, people are happy to be back. They're happy to have their senior status back. But again, a lot of hard work has to go in to try and keep that.
And I suppose, Gary, you can't beat success either. So you can't, Ollie. The trappings of success. Every club says, "Look, what you want to do as well as you can," but you know it from your Corofin experience as well. It does open doors as well, doesn't it? And as Ollie said, lads are walking with there's a bit of confidence, but there's a bit of magic around the club scene. Then, isn't there, when you are successful?
Oh, there is, of course. Winning becomes a habit, and knowing how to win and knowing how to see out games, and I know from my own playing career, and that's what it was. There was games we should have lost that we didn't, because we just knew how to grind it out. And when you get to that phase, at any level, it's so hard to beat. So that's the level we need to get to. We need to get to to that level and knowing how to see out games and how to win games. I think that was the big difference from this year's final to last year's final. And I said that to Ollie after the game. And I was extremely proud of the boys.
One thing that's, I suppose, not going to be spoken of by Gary and the Dunmore management, but it's a reality. There's probably going to be a couple of these Dunmore lads in the shop window as well, from a Galway perspective, because Pádraig Joyce knows now that there's an FBD League campaign coming around. And you must be thrilled as well, Gary, with the progression of a lot of these guys that have come from the under-19s that got to the A final. So fellas like Jake Slattery now are coming straight in and joint top scorer for Dunmore in the club championship, third overall. I'm sure he's going to be a factor in a couple of years' time. But even of the current players, the Pádraig Costello, who's on the fringe of the county team, is Matthew Reddington worth a look at as well. Yeah. I'm sure that's got to be a natural byproduct of Dunmore having more championship games in the remainder of this year.
Yeah, 100%. I could name, well, I'm not going to name anyone, but I could say there's definitely 4 or 5 guys that would be of that quality, or definitely worth a shout, or definitely worth training squads to develop them even more. I feel that if they get in there and they're playing with players of a higher quality again, they will improve even more. But yeah, 100%. But obviously, that's not a decision for me. That's up to Pádraig and what he wants to do and what he wants to bring in. But there's definitely 4 or 5 guys there that are definitely worth a look at for sure.
Yeah, well, it'll play out, I'm sure, over the course of the weekend. Moycullen also in action. 3 Galway clubs playing, 3 fancied. Of course, the 2 lads we have on screen are both at home. That's Clifden and Dunmore MacHales. Moycullen away from home on Sunday. So in terms of the chances of Galway having 3 teams involved after this weekend, must be pretty good.
It is, and even, isn't it amazing how quickly we forget that when Moycullen won the championship 2 years ago, they couldn't take part in the Connacht Championship. There wasn't a Connacht Championship, and the COVID years we've lived through them almost, but isn't it fantastic for the two lads we've with us and Moycullen are going full belt into a proper normal championship now.
That's true, yeah.
Westport as well, I think we've all been kind of looking at Westport for a while in terms of their underage structure. The James Horden for a while, they got over the line as well in Mayo at last, and if you look at, who they're even missing. They have a serious squad as well, but it's a lovely place for Moycullen to be at. That's a serious Moycullen team as well. And I think my line about the finals was really proven in the senior final, as in the sense that Salthill, came into that game probably underdogs, but did everything practically right, led the game for so long. But as Gary said, Moycullen, probably that win has infused them with a bit of belief that we stay going. They won the final. Probably not perfectly, but they're now in a perfect position to drive on. So look at it, it's intriguing, and we wish all the Galway teams the best of luck.
Very much. And I suppose, Gary, from a Corofin perspective, you've been there and done it so often at provincial level. How much of a chance do you give Moycullen of going even past Westport and maybe having a right run at the Connacht and All-Ireland Club Championship?
Yeah, I'm sure they're not looking past Westport, but I think they will. I think they will beat Westport if they can obviously improve their game. I think Salthill, to be fair, were probably the better team on the day. It's fair to say that. But as Sean said, I think Moycullen's experience stood to them. Winning the previous county final in 2020. I think Moycullen will come over that. I think Westport are missing a forward or two, if I'm being honest. They've good footballers all over the place as well, but I think they're missing a marquee forward, and I think Moycullen should come over the line with that one.
Either way, we're going to be live tomorrow night, coming from Lowry's Bar in Clifden. I don't know, will Gerry Gannon make it in or not tomorrow night? He might, He's got that look about him, doesn't he?
He does.
Gary definitely won't be in Glyn's Bar tomorrow night. And then again, he might too.
Definitely not. I won't be there. No.
Well, we might see a Saturday evening in Glyn's Bar, Gary, all things being equal. It is an early start though, isn't it? 12 noon on Saturday for you, Gary? It's a strangely early one.
It's a funny one. I don't know why it's that early, but the Sligo boys have to travel nearly 2 hours, so it might be a bit of an advantage to ourselves.
And weather, lads, is a huge factor as well. Gerry and Gary, I'm sure you're looking at what likely will we have heavy showers? Will you have that dreaded wind? It is a changed championship, and go back to only 4 or 5 weeks ago, you were playing with the ball was hopping, wasn't it? It has changed fast, and it does have an impact. Yeah,
for sure. I checked it this morning, weather, and it's looking better for Saturday anyway, for 12 o'clock. I think there's not going to be too much wind and maybe a few showers. You don't really mind the rain, but the wind is the big factor. I think it's getting, do you go with it or against it in the first half, or do you just that's the big factor.
Strategy on that now, would you have a pre-plan on that, or would you kind of wait to see what it's like? Or
yeah, well, I would, but it's been depending on who you're playing, and it's depend on how strong the wind is and if it's going to die or not, because winds can change. I know we played, who did we play? It was Corofin actually. We played with it in the first half, and the wind was due to die, and it did die. The second half, it wasn't anywhere near as bad. So all that comes into factor, But I just think once.
Yeah, go on, yeah.
I just think once the wind, it could ruin a good game of football, and hopefully we can stay away from that and have 2 good games of football between ourselves and Clifden,
Yeah, I've no doubt you will. So good luck to the 2 Galway teams. Thanks to Gerry and to Gary. And as I mentioned, we're going to be live from Clifden, Dunmore and Moycullen tomorrow night, and from Clonberne, because the Kilkerran-Clonberne ladies have a Connacht final as well this weekend, Sean, against Burrishrule. I mean, I'll whisper it. I expect them to win and win well.
They're a fair outfit now.
In
fairness, yeah.
GA parlance, they're a proper outfit.
They are a proper outfit, and I don't know, do they get the credit they deserve, but they are a serious outfit, and probably have intentions and eyes elsewhere as well, but get through this step first. Yeah,
bit by bit, but definitely with Mourne gone in Munster, which was a big shock. It's surely Kilkerran-Clonburns to have a right good run at retaining their All-Ireland. But Moycullen favourites to beat Westport. We're going to be live from the Wildlands in Moycullen tomorrow night. So between 7 and 10 o'clock, if you join us live on Galway Bay FM, we're going to start in Moycullen with Jonathan Higgins. Then we're heading over to Clifden, where John Mulligan will be. And then we're heading over to Tommy Devan in Clonberne with the ladies. And then I'm making the long trip of about 140 yards to Glynsbare for the Dunmore leg of the journey as well.
High, so no.
It won't be great, Sean. That's all I can say. But anyway, that's for tomorrow night between 7 and 10. For now, thanks to all of you for watching in. Good luck to all the Galway teams this weekend in the Connacht Club Championships. Next week, it's all about the county senior hurling final. We're really looking forward to that. We'll be out and about on Friday night leading into the hurling final at both St. Thomas's and Loughrea. A mouth-watering derby match to look forward to. But from myself and Sean, good luck and thanks for watching.
Over the Line Extra, your weekly Galway GAA podcast with Ollie Turner and Sean Walsh in association with Seymour